Outreach isn't the only valid form of activism, so if you shied away from activism in the past because that doesn't suit you, here's literally every other way you can get active for the animals. So the easiest way is through some sort of public visual messaging. Sidewalk chalking is a well-known strategy, but there's plenty of other options out there. You can write messages on restaurant receipts, you can tell baristas that your name is something vegan related, you can pick vegan names for bowling or arcade games or for your characters in online video games. If you go to the beach, you can write giant messages in the sand, you can post flyers on telephone poles, and you can post vegan stickers on your phone, laptop, water bottle, and on the packages of animal body parts in grocery stores. Check out Etsy as they have a bunch of shops that sell just these sorts of stickers. But some of the most powerful in the genre are the ones that are the most permanent. Writing on currency is effectively forever, as most people aren't in the habit of throwing away money, and you can almost guarantee it'll be circulated amongst a wide variety of people. Graffiti is another level up, and in my experience is rarely if ever washed off as long as it's not in the middle of downtown. Bumper stickers are a perennial classic, but just make sure you only have a few with fairly simple messages so you don't overwhelm the reader. Now, two of my favorites are wearing clothes with vegan messages and writing in the stalls of bathrooms. One benefit of wearing clothes with a vegan message is that they present zero opportunity cost after the initial purchase. For instance, if you go to the gym, just make all your gym shirts vegan shirts, and now 3 to 4 times a week you're doing a bit of activism without even having to think about it. Plus, you're signaling to other vegans around you that they're not alone. I've personally had people come up and fist bump me for my shirt, and it's definitely a mental health boost for the day. For vegan shirts, there's lots of options. Anticarnist.com has some pretty metal designs, while many activists like David Rams and Earthling Ed each have their own clothing lines. I also like TeePublic as they've got a bunch of great options, and if their website is to be believed, they at least seem concerned with ethical production and sustainability. Also, shout out to Natasha Poet for one of my favorite designs. Now, I know bathroom stall graffiti seems silly, but hear me out. Bathroom graffiti is almost never cleaned up, it gets to a wide audience, it likely exposes many of the same people repeatedly. This is important because of something called the mere exposure effect. People are going to be looking at it for more than a few seconds, and they're probably already going to be on their phones, which is good for messages like Watch Dominion or Watch Dairy is Scary. Plus, all you have to do is carry a marker or pen around with you and go to the bathroom, which I hope you're doing anyway. Now, anecdotally, I found college students to be the most receptive to veganism, so it might be smart to target college bars or buildings on college campuses specifically. Personally, I'd aim for messages that are short and actionable, like watchdominion.com or Watch Dairy is Scary on YouTube, messages that communicate something most people don't know, like the majority of pigs you eat are put into gas chambers, and messages that are non-threatening but normalize veganism, like be kind, go vegan. I would discourage messages like my food doesn't scream or vegan because I give a shit, as these tend to center you over the victims and will likely read more sanctimonious to non-vegans, the people we're actually trying to convince. And look, I'm not saying wearing a t-shirt is going to save the world, but given the time commitment is almost zero, I really don't see much reason to not do it. The second family of activism, which I think is often overlooked, is vegan support and community building. There's a bunch of Facebook groups aimed at helping new vegans with commonly asked questions, practical hurdles, social issues, etc. And more than a few times I've seen members saying things like, lettuce has plenty of B12. Spoiler alert, it has no B12. And so the perspective of knowledgeable vegans would definitely bring a lot of value. If new vegans get off on the wrong foot or are assaulted with misinformation, they're that much more likely to become ex-vegans, which has really serious consequences for the movement. There's also the Ask Vegans group on Reddit, as well as the main vegan subreddit, which often has newbie questions and posts looking for advice and emotional support. Then there's 5 Minutes 5 Vegans, which is a website that finds and displays the most recent tweets that mention the word vegan and offers you pre-written responses, which include the most common debunks as well as useful links to vegan resources. Considering many of these people are already expressing an interest in veganism, they represent a very targeted segment of the population that you can get relevant information to in, as the name suggests, just 5 minutes. And note, you can also write your own custom responses. And if you're wanting something more local, you can start your own local vegan Facebook group or schedule a vegan meetup on the website meetup.com. While online social networking is powerful, I still think real-world community building reigns supreme. Something I'll be discussing in a future video related to the book Change. The third family of activism is harnessing your talents. If you have a particular skill or talent, I can almost guarantee there's a way to parlay that into a win for animal rights and veganism. Do you have software engineering skills? Well, get on veganhacktivist.org and start coding for vegan websites. Good at graphic design? Help out a vegan organization with their pamphlets or t-shirts. Do you have construction skills? Build structures at a local animal sanctuary. Do you speak multiple languages? Get on veganlinguist.org and translate vegan content. Do you write poetry or create music? Make it vegan and take it to open mics or perform at local festivals or veg fests. Most people have some sort of talent, and most of those talents can be used in service of animal rights. So get creative and discover the unique ability that you bring to the table. All right, for the fourth family, let's revisit outreach conversations. Obviously, you can do one-on-one live outreach, which is a big focus of this channel, but there's a bunch of other options. You can do group outreach with organizations like We the Free or Anonymous for the Voiceless. These are good if you're anxious about going solo or talking to people, since you can just hold a TV screen the whole time while other people have conversations. This is good for beginners since it lets you dip your toe in without the pressure of potentially getting into a heated debate, and also helps you build real-world community with activists in your area. But maybe it's the real-world aspect that you object to. If so, you can always have conversations on social platforms like Omegle, TikTok Live, and Discord. And Discord specifically has a bunch of servers servers that regularly host debates with non-vegans, which I'll link in the description. Now, of course, you can also just argue in the comment section of vegan posts, but there's a more powerful version of that, and it's targeting viral posts with vegan comments, specifically on Instagram and Twitter. Basically, you find some viral post that's even tangentially related to veganism, and then make it about veganism in the comments. This gives it the potential to get massive reach, especially if you get together with some vegan friends and have them all like your reply and leave their own comments. As always, I'd recommend centering the victim and highlighting practices that the reader either doesn't know about or that will grab their attention. Again, I'd avoid calling people animal abusers and instead say things like, if you think this sounds bad, why continue to fund this abuse? Or, why is it okay to treat them in a way that you yourself would detest being treated? And if you know you can't resist personal insults or just generally sounding condescending, consider saving pre-written responses to a notes app on your phone. That way you can simply copy and paste without being tempted by your emotions in the moment. I personally like the app Trello's organization for this, but there's like a billion notes apps. Now maybe this all sounds a bit boring and you really want to get your hands dirty and take direct action, attend vigils, or get involved in pressure campaigns. For things of that nature, you can check out Direct Action Everywhere, Animal Rebellion, and Animal Liberation Front, just to name a few. It was DXE member Raven Deerbrook who recently exposed pig gas chambers in the United States, while Animal Rebellion makes enough noise in the UK that activist Nathan McGovern was interviewed by Piers Morgan, if you can call what Piers Morgan does interviewing. And if you want to know what ALF does, they offer a 130-page ebook chronicling 40 years of work. You can also get together with a bunch of fellow activists and start your own pressure campaigns. The activist Not Today Tay started protesting Starbucks with a local animal rights group, and this ultimately caught the attention of PETA and actor James Cromwell, who ended up supergluing themselves to Starbucks counters and making headlines nationwide. Also, one of my subscribers recently started a Discord server to carry out virtual pressure campaigns by flooding targets with calls, emails, and social media comments. So go ahead and check out that link in the description. And if you want a solid video on pressure campaigns, you can check out this interview from Vegan FTA featuring the Cranky Vegan. And our sixth family is contacting local businesses and government representatives. Is there a restaurant in your area that doesn't offer vegan options? Call or email them and ask why not. Maybe even ask why all their options aren't vegan options. Maybe there's a local store in your area that sells wool or leather or fur. Maybe they don't realize just how cruel the process of procuring those materials is. You can even write a single email template and blast it to a bunch of local businesses, just changing the subject and business name. In an hour or two, you could reach 10, 20, 50 establishments. And if you want to find all your state and local representatives, check out commoncause.org and enter your street address. Then filter for federal, state, and local to find names and contact info. Contact them about animal cruelty, meat subsidies, ag-gag laws, environmental impacts, increased pandemic risks, or more granular local issues that may be directly relevant to your community. Or donate to groups like Agricultural Fairness Alliance that push plant-based policy changes at the governmental level. Or even go right to Washington like activist Connie Spence, aka Vegan Batgirl, and try to lobby against the ludicrous subsidies for animal agriculture. And finally, you can give money to organizations, causes, sanctuaries, and online activists, but that's a video for another day. And if none of that really suits you, you could just start your own nonprofit like Dr. Faraz Harsini's Allied Scholars for Animal Protection, which seeks to provide a strong, effective, sustained, and united effort to end animal oppression on campuses across the country. And stay tuned because I plan to have him on my channel sometime soon for an interview. Now, of course, I couldn't actually list every type of activism, so if you want to go deeper, check out veganactivism.org, which suggests tons of ideas, organizations, and resources, animalrightsmap.org, which lists every animal rights organization in your area, and the Vegan Activism subreddit. And go ahead and fill up this video's comment section with any other ideas, suggestions, and real-world experience, and they might make it into part 2. Also, I'm working on a big spreadsheet of every type of activism, which you can filter based on your vibe and personal preferences, and I'll be posting that on my public Patreon page. Now, I can hear some people in my comments saying, that one type of activism you mentioned is useless, or obnoxious, or too extreme, or not extreme enough. This video really isn't meant to establish a ranking of vegan-related activism. It's meant to catalog the breadth of options out there so you can 1, get active if you aren't already, and 2, find the sort of activism that works best for you given your specific talents, personality, geographic location, whatever. No one's saying wearing a t-shirt is going to be more impactful than going undercover in a slaughterhouse. But with few exceptions, I think activism is a lot like exercise. The best kind is whatever you're actually motivated to do consistently. So I'll end with a quote from the Instagram activist Veg Out With Me. No social justice movement can succeed without activists. The animals don't just need more vegans, they desperately need more activists. The less vegans we have educating non-vegans about the hidden atrocities they fund and defending the animals, the longer the victims will continue to suffer and the people funding their abuse will continue to feel comfortable doing so. And if you want to see me getting out there and doing real life activism, I recommend this video right here. And if you want to help me make this my full-time career, check out the Patreon in the description. And shout out to Ryan O'Neill, Tom Eisenbeiss, NetBase News, Monstar, David Yastrzemski, and Maxwell Edison.